the Big Rig Kids, y'all. Are you ready? Let's go. Here come the Big Rig Kids. Roll with the Big Rig Kids. Let's fire the truck, take you to such amazing places with the Big Rig Kids. Those helpful Big Rig Kids. See how they give and grow and get to know amazing things. Learn with the Big Rig Kids, and you'll see how it is to have adventure days and hang and play with all your friends. Because the Big Rig Kids know what it is to live a most exciting and inviting life is positive.
To another episode of Conversations with Grandma Polly. I am your behind the scenes guy, Kenneth Thompson, and we have a very, very wonderful, exuberant, exciting guest for you today. Now, I just want to ask you guys a question first of all, though. Have you ever wondered why some kids excel while others don't in school? But today, we're going to hone in on that. But before all of that, let's give it up to the one and only, the grandma that everybody loves, Big Mama's house. You know and love her as Grandma Polly. Give it up, ladies and gentlemen.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Conversations with Grandma Polly. First, allow me to apologize. We've been having a little bit of technical difficulties, and we're trying to get it straightened out, but hopefully you will enjoy the show anyway. Today, we have a special guest, and her name is Miss Fanisha Locke. She's the owner of Taz Academy, which is a private school. She's the owner, operator, and the leader. She teaches there also. We could not get Fanisha on camera for some reason. So we will be talking to Fanisha today via telephone. Her children at the school has just completed the book, The Big Rig Kid Deals with Racism. She has adopted this curriculum into her classroom from my very first book. So every kid that she has went through every one of those books. And the feedback that I've received from Ms. Fanisha and the children on this Big Rig Kid Deals with Bullying. Today we're going to spend a little time talking about education and the impact these books have had on her children in the classroom. So without further ado, y'all, let's give Miss Fanisha a big round of applause. Throw some hearts out there. Show us some love. Miss Fanisha, welcome, and we're happy to have you this afternoon.
Thank you, and I am glad to be here. I was trying to share it, like I don't see it, so I can't like share it to my page. And that's what I want to do, but I'm not able to even see it. Have you already put it up on your page?
It's on Conversations with Grandma Polly, and it's on the Big Rig Kid organization page.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking for. Undoubtedly, I need to refresh. I don't know. We're not gonna waste no time with that. I'm glad to be here.
Awesome, awesome,
Got it.
awesome. You got it?
I do.
Okay, great. Well, Miss Phoenicia, oh my God. You and I have been working together for a good while now. I forgot to mention that Miss Phoenicia is actually the school teacher, my friend, my sister, who has also helped me to develop the workbooks that go along with these books. But I'm just so excited to hear about the one that you guys just got done reading. I want you to tell us all about that because we have some other things that's coming behind it. But the fact that this one dealt with racism, how did your children in the classroom deal with it and respond to it? And of course, Kenny, this is one of these ones you're going to jump in on because Miss Phoenicia and I are going to have this discussion.
Okay.
Did she hear me?
Miss Fanisha.
Okay, yeah, it's a little bit. It was a little delayed, but yeah, I got you now.
Okay.
Yeah, so we're good.
Tell us about the experience that you and the children had reading this book. I mean, I'm just gonna let you talk.
Okay, so um, it was really good. So let me tell you. Unfortunately, I hate my camera isn't working, but so we got the books and we started and we ended up reading like a chapter a day. And we had really good class discussion about it. I let them share some of their personal experiences, and you have to keep in mind it was third, fifth, and sixth. So the sixth grader knew a little bit more than your third grade, okay? But a lot of them, like the book was addressing a lot of issues that was going on at the time um, of the George Floyd incident, and the kids didn't know that. So they gave me the opportunity to go in and say, okay, let's look it up. Let's see what's going on or what happened or what are they referring to. So it made them knowledgeable of other things that were going on around the same time of the George Floyd incident. And the kids didn't know that.
Awesome. You being the teacher, how was it difficult for you to have this conversation with them?
It was not. It was not, and I'm gonna tell you, it wasn't because we talk about current events and things of that nature anyway as part of what we do pretty much on an everyday, every other day basis. And because I've had these kids for so long, we have such a rapport that we can almost talk about anything. So no, it was real easy. And the fact that you were able to join in on a couple of those sessions with the reading made it all the more better because they were able to actually ask you questions and get engaged and things that I didn't have the answer to. They were able to actually um, hone in and ask you those things.
Okay. Okay. I mean, yeah, and I asked you that question because in the things that we're dealing today as adults and with our children when it comes down to education, right now they're signing these bills and these laws about not being able to teach about racism or the effects of racism and racism from the past, not wanting this stuff taught in the school. First, I'm going to give my opinion about that. And with you being an educator, I'm going to ask you your opinion on it. When it comes down to our past history, and right now history is really repeating itself, how important is it to you for these things to be included in the education that we teach our children? For me, I feel like if our children don't know our history and our children don't know our past, then they cannot know where they're going. That's my opinion.
I
Now
agree.
I'm asking you how you feel about
I totally agree. I totally agree. I think that they should be exposed to everything. So I don't want to influence them either way, but I do want to make them aware of the grand scheme, and then they can make their decision based on the knowledge that they have. But knowledge cannot be one-sided as it relates to the things that are going on around them, because they won't have the opportunity to be able to say, okay, oh, that's what this is. Oh, that's what that means. So I think it's very important, and to just think that any race should just know all of one thing is a disservice to the children.
it. I agree with you wholeheartedly. And I believe that a lot of this is a part of the problems that we see every day because I am familiar with my culture. And there are a few other cultures that I have became familiar with. But when we don't know the cultures, and even when we speak of cultures, just even in the African American Black community, there are so many different cultures. When you look at your Southerners, your Northerners, your Easterners, your Midwestern, all these people, I mean, we all look alike in some instances, but the culture is so much different. So, like you said, I
Mhm.
agree.
Mhm.
Not to be an influencer, but to have them to become aware of the different cultures, whether it be great things or whether it be, from the hate side. Because when we speak about hate, hate is not a race or a color thing, it's a person thing.
Mhm.
We have
Mhm.
hateful people of all races. So just to bring
Right.
awareness to the things that's happening and allowing them to
Yeah.
make that
Yeah.
decision and how they see it, I think it would make a huge difference in what we see and what we're dealing with in society.
Yeah. Yeah. I totally agree with that. And and, and I wanted to address something else, Miss Renee. And as go back to the book, chapter 12, whenever they were able to hold the community event, and then they started telling about how the neighborhood and it actually started, and the people that did the sweat and tears to get the land. Whenever at that point, at that time, African Americans would find property, and then they passed it on from generation to generation. That just it just was like yes, you know what I'm saying? Like I was telling the kids, I was like, and this is why, a lot of times I'm telling you guys that your parents are working hard to sow seeds into you so that it passes on down to your children and your children's children, which is a biblical concept. And even though, I don't know if that was just part of the book, whether it was real or wasn't real, but regardless, it taps into what I have been teaching, which is at the end of the day, you want to be the best you that you can be because there are people coming along after you. And I just thought, I mean, I've read that chapter and was like, wow. So, and the kids were too. So yeah, it was really good.
And it's great. You jumped all the way to chapter 12 already, but chapter 12,
Yeah.
chapter 12 for me was in this book. And I know you that they went through the other books and you pointed it out. And in the other books, to me, all of my books are fiction because the characters are fiction. But I try to write them in a way that people could actually see it through real life, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
And
Yes,
with
definitely.
this one, this whole George Floyd thing moved me in a way that I've seen so many things in life. But this one moved me to where it was like, no, wait a minute. We got to go back in time and get it together. Because,
Mhm.
the uprising
Mhm.
with George Floyd, everybody jumped on board and I understand it. If that situation did not move
Mhm.
you, you do not have a heart. But the
Right.
other part that we were forgetting is that there are so many things that's happening in our own communities that we are doing to ourselves. And a
Absolutely.
lot of it is because our
Absolutely.
children don't know, first of all, they don't know who they are because they're still young when they're trying to comprehend it. And then it goes back to, okay, I know my parent, and that's all they know. And then some of them, they don't even know the mom or the dad or whoever, and that's all that they know. But when I was growing up,
Mhm.
and I tell y'all this story before, my grandparents raised me. People tell me I have an old soul. But wherever they went, they made sure that this was your uncle over here, this is your aunt there, that's your cousin there. And I really do believe a lot of them people they said we were kin to, we weren't related to them by blood, but because the village was there, everybody was related. My grandparents are gone,
Mhm.
but their parents left what we call heirs property. That's what any family member could go and live on that property. And we look at them as being
Wow.
poor
Okay.
back then, but they were wealthy because they had land.
Right. Right.
My grandfather had pigs and cows and horses and planted fields, and
Right.
they call it poor, but they were wealthy.
Yep. Absolutely. And that's because they didn't. People don't know. Um, they're looking at wealth as it is now. So let me tell you one thing that we did also. I had them look up land from when it was long time ago, like back in 1940s, and then they did the
Uh-huh.
1960s, because I wanted them to see the progression of how the economy has progressed. So when they were talking about in chapter 12, I'm back on 12 again, that they had the land, and you're talking eons ago. Okay, well, how much was land then? And then we had to go back and we had to figure out, okay, well, what was people making those days? Because now, if the land was uh, $1,000, people wasn't making $500 a week. So it was still the struggle of it, but to just let them see the progression of how much things have increased, how much land, houses, so on and so forth. The kids were like, wow, and because now you have houses 300,000, 500. I just wanted them to know um, how they need to know what was to understand what is.
Right. And you saying that, I appreciate that so much because in you saying that, it goes back to where I started earlier. They have to know the past in
Hmm.
order to know where they are and where we're headed.
Exactly.
And that was the purpose of writing that particular chapter, because
Hmm.
when they spoke about the two men coming together, and that's something we don't see a lot of today. Everybody is like, I got mine, you got to get yours. But they came together
Right.
and they built that community. And it
Hmm.
wasn't easy because if you remember me talking about the ghost train,
Hmm.
that was Maria's grandfather that came here doing, the war to escape what was going on in Mexico to get here to
Hmm.
safety. And all he
Hmm.
wanted to know was that his family was safe, trying to, and there were many people who died trying to get here. We talk about the
Right.
slaves escaping up north, Harriet Tubman, the Underground Railroad. But we weren't the
Hmm.
only race that went through this type of trauma. Trails of
Right.
tales were your indigenous people, your Indian. The Spanish people went through hell and hot water. So it was
Hmm.
just many different races of people who have suffered many unjust things. And I wanted these kids to
Right.
know they made it through it. So now we got to, Hey, we came from a lineage of people who knew how to survive, and we still do. So that's what that chapter was about. And you done jumped way out there. But anyway, go ahead. Tell me some more.
Hey, the call just dropped. If she can call back in, just
Yeah, she will.
okay. So Renee,
But yeah, talk to me.
there she goes. Okay. Can you hear me? Yes. Sorry about that. Don't know what.
Okay, Kenny,
Hang
can
on.
she hear us?
Bringing her in right now.
Okay, while you're doing that, could you ask me what you were going to ask me anyway?
Yeah, I like how you brought out the point about the different the trails of tears
Uh huh.
and everything like that. That was something heavy right there. What they did to the Native Americans and indigenous people that were already here. It was horrific, and like you said, everybody has a story. Even the people who came here from the other lands, Ireland, Italy.
Mm
Everybody has a story that they came with nothing. A lot of them had nothing but the clothes on their back, and still created a legacy here. So it's something to
hmm.
be
Mm hmm.
said about that. You know, uh,
Yes.
Fanisha, can you hear us? Are you back in?
I can. Yep,
Yeah,
I can
she's
hear.
back.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, she's back in.
Okay, perfect,
Yes.
perfect.
Okay. We done went to the end of the book. Okay. Tell me some of the other stuff that y'all pulled out of
Okay.
it.
Well, okay. There was so a lot of there was a controversy with the kids. So whenever we had Corey, who was uh, Corey was one of those, the neighborhood kid, and he had his friends. They had Carter, who came bringing a bunch of confusion. And the kids were, a little bit upset about that because they were like, listen, everything was fine before he got here, and I had them discuss, okay, if you were in Corey's position, and you had your established friends, and then Corey's cousin comes, and he's total opposite of uh, Carter. How would you handle that? Would you think, keep being friends with Corey because you know him, or is it because he's affiliated with Carter, even though he disagrees with what Carter does, especially whenever Caden got the black eye? What would you do? So the majority of the kids was like, well, we're going to still be Corey's friends, but we have nothing to say to Carter. But I had a couple kids that say, I don't want to deal with Carter either. They both can go somewhere and kick rocks. And I was like, but y'all, is that really fair? Um, that you wouldn't be his friend even though you know him? So that to me gave me like, okay, that's not fair. Like y'all not looking at this with the bigger picture. But yeah, they wasn't trying to hear it. They was just like, no, if they have to deal with Corey because he's affiliated with Carter, they didn't want to be either one of their friends.
And it's funny that the kids answered it that way because in reality, there are adults out there like that too. You have adults who sometimes I say act like middle schoolers and high schoolers, and sometimes even in families. Well, this person did something wrong. This person upset me. This person made me mad. So now I'm going to sit around and I'm going to tell everybody else about it because I want them to feel the same way. And
Right.
the reason I wrote that the way I did is because I want these kids and adults to be able to think for themselves.
Mhm.
If I am upset with Phoenicia because Phoenicia has done something to me, everybody else ain't got nothing to do with that. because Phoenicia did not offend them.
Mhm.
So I should not be recruiting people to go against Phoenicia because I feel that way. And I feel that when those things happen, it comes from the lack of maturity. Instead of
Mhm.
being able to
Mhm.
sit down, talk it out, communicate, and get through it,
Right.
now we become drama queens and drama kings, and the kids see this
Absolutely.
and they take on those mindset. If you remember, they handled it. I mean, Josh was on fire, but Grandma
Mhm.
Polly was
Mhm.
the one who kept the calm head.
Mhm.
So if you
Well,
have somebody with
my
wisdom in the
kids.
middle, go ahead.
Yeah. I was gonna say. I'm gonna tell you now. My kids were kind of like where they understood where he was coming from, and I was like, yeah, but I mean, he. I felt like he was a little over the top. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Because I know as parents, we do whatever we got to do for our kids. I get it. But I just kind of felt like he was like, he didn't want to hear nothing that the little boy had to say. And, you know, I don't know if that has something to do with the PTSD or, and that's what they kept referencing. Like, okay, well, you know, he has PTSD. So it was almost like handle him with kid gloves because, you know, he already has an issue. And I just don't know what I felt about that part of it.
And it's written that way again. Everything that's written in that book has a purpose.
Okay.
We know Josh has PTSD, post traumatic stress
Right.
syndrome.
Right.
In society today, Phoenicia, and because you've had your children so long, you've probably built a relationship with the parent. But
Right.
how many times incidents have not happened at school or incidents have not happened at home, not at home, but in the neighborhood? And you got this parents who gets over the top. They go,
Right.
they want to cuss out the teacher, they want to fight the teacher, they want to act, you know. I can remember an
Mhm.
incident living in Charlotte, and this was years ago.
Mhm.
My daughter was living in this community that was mixed with elderly and young people. It was a community of people of all ages. And there
Mhm.
was this little girl there, and she was big for her size. This little girl couldn't be no more than 8 or 9 years old.
Okay.
And she already had issues because she saw her mother
Mhm.
get murdered. She saw someone murdered her mom.
Oh wow. Okay.
So she was already in counseling this day, and she was the big kid on the playground. Well, there was
Mhm.
a smaller kid who went home and told the mom that the girl hit her.
Mhm.
Now you got the mom, the aunt, the sister, all of them out there ready to beat this little girl down.
Oh wow.
And my
Okay.
daughter and a couple of other adults there, no, y'all not gonna do this.
Mhm. Mhm.
So see, sometimes we make excuse for people in their bad behavior.
True. Very true. Um. And I think a lot of it, Renee, is immaturity. Also, I mean, you know what I'm
Hmm.
saying. I'm trying to figure out how to say this. Um. Okay. So let me say it this way. I think a lot of it comes from the age of the parents also. I'm just gonna put it out there. Sometimes you have younger, it's a generational thing. So your parents might be a little bit younger and they may be a little more sensitive, toward their kids. Now me, I had my son young. I was a young mom. So I'm not saying anything about that, but I was a young, mature mom. Here's the truth of it. I remember I was talking to my mom just this past week, and I told her, I said, I remember when my son was about 8, he was playing basketball for my oldest brother's team. He was a coach. So I told my son wasn't the best shooter, but he could defend. So I said, I want you to defend them so good that whenever they fall, I want you to fall. I mean, I want you to be on them. Well, he was such a good defense player that um, the little boy got mad. So my son didn't even have the ball. He just pushes my son in the back out of frustration. The mommy and me stood up and hollered out, "Hit him back!" So I was that person that you're talking about. And the lady, his mom, turned around and looked. I said, "Yeah, I said it because your son had no business hitting my son." So little stuff like that, if you don't discipline yourself as an adult, you just gonna come straight out because at the end of the day, those are just our kids. So sometimes we don't have we're not quick enough on our feet to process it and say, okay, this kid is 8. I wouldn't care nothing about that kid being 8. I was more like, you hit my son, he didn't hit you, son hit him back. So it's things like that it's still learned behavior, I feel.
Yes, yes, it is. And in Josh's situation, see, it came out of Josh in a way where Josh was already dealing with PTSD, but Josh was
Right.
also dealing with frustration. And when I say
Very true.
frustration, if you remember parts in the book where he was like, I served all this time in the military and I've saved so many lives and I've done this and I've done that. And then still come back here and they still see
Hmm.
me as that N word.
Right. Right.
So out of frustration, I
Hmm.
understood his frustration. But even in those situations, it has to be someone with voice or reasoning. And Grandma Polly was that.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Very
Because
true.
she
Very
could have
true.
been that one. Oh, son, I agree with you. Yeah, come on. We're going to go and do this and we're going to make that. And then now you're going to make the situation worse.
True. Very true. Very true. And I think because she's older, we expected her to be wise. We expect her to
Hmm.
be wise. And that's and then be honest, I'm going to just say this also. Um, we need more wise grandma Polly's in today's society. We need more wise people, because it has to be somebody that's going to lead. And I'm not sure if we have enough grandma Polly. You know what I'm saying? That's a little side note, but we do need that. We need people that's going to be able to kind of get the younger generation in order with wisdom, not with ignorance.
There you go. And it goes back to what you said earlier. Even the grandmothers are younger.
Yeah, that's very true. That's very
You're
true.
talking
You're
about the
absolutely right.
young
You're
mothers.
absolutely right.
The grandmothers are younger. Now I'm going to go back and contradict myself. The grandmothers were even younger back then because they were getting married at 15 and 16 years old.
True. Very true. So would they be called the big mamas?
See, that's what we had. We had big mamas back then.
Right.
And big mamas, they took care of the village. But we have become so accustomed to, I just thank God that He gave me what He gave me with the visions of these books because it's not me. He's just using me as a vessel. Because when we look at society, Phoenicia, see, it all started with the government. And I won't call it a conspiracy, it's just what happened. When we were growing up,
Okay. Yeah.
Hush Kenny, I hear you over there. I'm gonna bring you over here in a minute. When we were growing up, we lived on our own land because it was heirs property.
Mhm.
Everybody, lived right there together. A lot of the men would go off to work.
Right.
These older women were home. They were the babysitter. I know my grandma, both of my grandmothers were. They did not work.
Mhm.
So they were the babysitters. When
Okay.
we got off of that school bus, they had food prepared for you, ready to eat. You had chores,
Yep.
whether you were
Yep.
going in the cornfield, whether you was out there raking yard, whether you was scrubbing clothes on some washboards. Whatever it was, there was structure. And
Mhm.
if you did something wrong and the neighbor wasn't home, they had the right to correct you. They
Right.
had the right to tear those legs up. You hear me?
That's right.
And
That's right.
that they put that in you. But see where the government came in. Okay, now they went through these communities and they started changing the codes. And I said codes, CODE, of
Mhm.
structures. So now you have a dilapidated house over here, according to them. You have a
Mhm.
house over here that hadn't been built up to par. So now what we're going to do is we're going to start building these buildings that we call the projects. We're going to take these
Okay.
young people with children and we're going to put them over here. But the baby fathers cannot be there. We're going to provide for these mothers and these children.
Mhm.
Then we're going to
Preach.
take the elderly people and we're going to take them out of these dilapidated homes and we're going to build a senior community for them over here. This is how we start
Okay.
to destroy the village.
Mhm.
Yep.
Now we separate them. We put the elderly over here, the young people and their children over here. We're going to put their men in jail. We're going to put them on the chain gang. We put them on the chain gang. Now we're getting free labor and we don't have to spend tax dollars because we have the
Mhm.
people locked up
Mhm.
who we're going to put out here to clean these streets and dig these ditches.
Right. Right.
That's what destroyed the village.
That's right.
And
That's
I know
right.
I done talk a long time. I'm gonna let you and Kenny jump in here because I know he's sitting over there on pins.
Oh goodness.
Yes,
Yes.
I'm listening,
Yeah.
Fanisha.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean, I think you're doing well. I mean, everything you're saying, I think is extremely valid. Um, and I also feel like when we get back, like getting back to the book is pointing out various things, but it is also it's allowing the kids to show their emotions, their frustrations, or um, whatever they're actually feeling at that moment. It's allowing them to do that. And my kids, in some parts they were aggravated, in some parts they didn't like what happened with them. The guy telling the story saying that Josh, made it seem like that Josh just came at him for no reason, and my kids were like, "Well, that's not what happened," and it was like the police just came right in and took sides. I mean, without even hearing, what had actually happened, and then that gave me the opportunity to say, okay, what other cases or situations can we look at where we can see that that has happened before? And you have to be willing to listen, and that's why you have 2 ears. And a lot of times when you don't do that, um, you you jump to conclusions and you're wrong. If that makes any sense.
Yes, and that part that you're talking about, I wrote that piece because of our children. You know, when you have small kids and you hear their fathers are in prison or the
Mhm.
mom has been locked up and they live in an environment that's
Mhm.
toxic and you have this
Right.
mom telling this son, oh, you're going to be just like your daddy, you're going to be this, you're going to be that. And why I strongly believe that if a person has committed a crime, then there are consequences. But in Josh's
Right.
case, Josh was innocent, but he still ended up going to jail. So I want to dispel that thing about every black person that's in jail needs to be there.
Yeah. True.
So like every piece that
Right.
was written it has a deeper, I'm looking for a word, guys. It runs deep.
Has meaning to it.
Yeah, the message it makes them think.
It's not fluff. There were no fillers in it. Every word was utilized perfectly and brought the
I want to
attention
see
to the
your face,
point.
my brother. I told you about that.
Okay, so every just joining the conversation. If you guys are just joining us, we are talking about the book and by Grandma Polly and how those things are conveyed and related into the world that we live in today. And Grandma Polly and Fanisha went as far back as to she used that word conspiracy, but it is what it is. I mean, I mean, it doesn't take rocket to science to see
No,
everything that's
this
going on.
one. It's him.
It doesn't take a rocket scientist to see. And to piggyback off of what you were saying, you ladies were saying about the what's when you were bringing up how they tore up the family, and if you know in the Bible that scripture where all the people were coming together in Babel building this tower, and it just really makes you think like, what can we do as a people if we just come together? If the God in the Old Testament said, look, they're coming together and then we have to stop this. I'm wondering, why did he stop it? I thought the whole thing was for people to live together, but that's another story for another day. But the point I'm making is, we've been so decentralized and torn apart from each other. Fathers are in prison. Moms get stressed out. Not every mom, because there are a lot of strong women that are carrying the load. But I'm just saying, you see some women on drugs in the streets, and their kids are just everywhere doing whatever. And the father's not in the home. So it definitely was a plan, as anybody can see. And you can see it's going on another way right now, how these house prices are just being ridiculous right now. The whole real estate market is kind of ridiculous, and what they're doing with that scenario. I'm of the mindset that I think they're trying to create, the color thing is kind of played out, as everybody can see, that they were using. It's just going to be rich and poor now, rich and poor, and you
Hmm.
can see them doing that by outpricing and making prices so high that people can't even afford homes now, and it's kind of being reshuffled and brought back in the forefront of society. Everything that they did back then, but it's another way that they're going about it, like a wily little snake. So that's my take.
And it goes back to what I said.
Hmm.
When we can't teach our children the past,
Yeah,
history repeats
repeats itself,
itself. It
cycles.
may show its face in another way because we're living in a different time frame,
Hmm.
but it all has the same effects.
Exactly.
Um, I want to pause right here for a second, and I want to thank y'all, the audience out there. You guys, I want to thank y'all for joining us tonight.
Yes.
You guys always show up. Y'all always show up, and we just appreciate it. And I thank Miss Venetia, but I want to say something before we go a little farther, because I have another question to ask Miss Venetia about the book. But y'all remember last week we had Anna Lilia on here, and Anna Lilia is trying to go to this medical camp. And about a month ago, we had Madison on here, where Reese, type in where Madison is going. I know she's going out of the country.
Okay,
So
Madison.
Oh yeah.
I decided, everybody has been asking me about these dolls back here. These dolls are not for sale. They are a part of a project that my brother and I are going to be working on. Madison is going to Peru. And these trips are expensive. These girls are looking at $4,000 a piece just to, make the trip possible. And Monday, when Anna Lilia was on here, I told her that we would start something sort of a fundraiser. Even though they have the GoFundMe and stuff going on, Big Rig Kids haven't done a whole lot since COVID hit. So we was like, why not?
Okay.
Okay. We have,
Okay.
Kenny, you want to put that flyer up?
Oh yeah.
We have a fundraiser drive going right now. It's $5 a ticket, or you could get five tickets for $20. You will get a chance to choose one of these characters, and that includes Sapphire too. You have the option of choosing one of those if you win. This cup, this is a nice cup, y'all. I have people who donated and said that they don't care about the rest of the stuff. They want the cup. It's a beautiful cup. And we also have $100 Visa card. Now, the way this works is you purchase your tickets, and the first drawing, whoever name comes out first, they get to choose which one of those prizes they want. Then after that, the two prizes that's left, the person who gets wins in that second ticket drawing, they get to choose, and then the third prize would be given to the person of the prize that was left. Y'all look, see this jar right here? We got a little over 100 tickets in here. So you guys, let's fill this jar up. The drawing will be June 1st, live on Facebook. Tell your friends. Tell everybody. You may even have some kids who got $5 stash away and say they want that doll, so they're going to give a try for it. So we're just putting it out here because I believe in supporting our children. And this is a great opportunity to help these kids with it's great. Peru. I've never been to Peru. And Madison has that opportunity to go to Peru. So that's all I'm going to say about that. And my Cash App is dollar sign 18. No, stop. Dollar sign Big Rig Kids 18. So y'all let's support these babies and let's make it happen. All right, Kenny, back to you and Miss Fanisha.
Yeah, let's do that. I think it speaks to what we're trying to do. Well, not what we're trying to do, what we're doing. Is there's no try when you do, but it
There you
speaks to
go.
just building our community back, because we are the ones. We are the change. We are the change we've been waiting for. No one's going to do anything. We have to do it ourselves. We can say we're old stuff. We can say reparations. We can say whatever. You sit around crying, moping, but days are going by, and it's still you're in the same place. So let's come together. Let's build together, because when we build together, even the God in the Old Testament can't stop it. He was a little perplexed and confused by what that. So just think about that for a moment. So as a community, we can do so much more, empower our young people, bring them and to their manifestations that they came here to do, their manifestations, excuse me, that they came here to be and came here to do. I think through love, I think everything is love. Even in our enemies, what seems hard, but it's that love that's gonna keep us overcoming everything that we've done through the generations, because we always loved. as a community, even though the media want to put out there one or two knuckleheads just doing shooting and killing and make it seem like
Yes,
everybody's doing that, which is not
yes,
true. It's not true at all.
yes.
As a whole, we're a community that loves because we've been put in some extenuating circumstances to be with one another, to rely on each other. So it's that love that got us over back then, and it's that love that's going to take us on to the future. So with that said, Phoenicia, if you have anything to
Miss
say,
Phoenicia.
Do I have anything to add to that?
yes.
I don't. I'm ready to talk about my trip to Atlanta, so I'm waiting to get to the good part.
Okay.
You're waiting on what?
I'm
her,
ready to talk
You waiting
about
on
my trip
what?
to
her
Atlanta
trip
with my
to Atlanta.
baby.
She waiting on getting to Atlanta.
Oh, you want to tell about that? Come on down, come on.
Yes, yes. I was like, we're gonna run out of time. I'm not gonna be able to tell you. So our end of year field trip, we're gonna be in Atlanta. I think it's about 6 or 7 of us, and we have two chaperones that are three chaperones, and it's gonna be four with myself included. And we're gonna do the picnic in the park with you. And like I haven't even told the kids, which I figure we'll meet one day next week, so you can tell them what your expectations are as far as the dressing up and stuff like that. But and I think we're gonna do a live there, and we can talk. We're gonna be able to talk to the kids and everything. But we're gonna be there the 13th, Friday the 13th, and we're coming down on that Thursday. But we're gonna get in and get settled and stuff like that because Friday is a busy, busy day. But I am so looking forward to that last final hoorah to meet with you and you meet with the kids and they can kind of ask more questions and that's that's what the excitement of everything is for me. So I just had to get off my chest. It was burning.
I am so excited, Kenny. This is the event that I was talking to you about.
Okay. Yeah, we get to
Yes,
run.
where the kids are gonna come down. We're gonna do the picnic in the park. We're gonna have this discussion in private. So when we go live, then people will see what it is that we're working on behind the scene with these kids.
Awesome. Maybe we can
Yeah, we're
get
not we're
maybe
not gonna put that information out there yet.
maybe we can even have a live segment going on Facebook during the picnic. Who knows?
Yeah, that's what. Yes, yes, yes,
Okay.
yes,
Okay.
yes, yes. All of that and some.
That's what's
All of
up.
that and some. And before I close out, I want to point out what you guys are watching here. And I'm kind of sad because Phoenicia could not get on the camera tonight. Hi Sinitra. Um, what you're looking at when you see all this stuff behind me and all this stuff around me, these are the things that I could not have done by myself. It takes a group of people willing to work along with each other, and everybody know their lane. Where I don't think that I'm all. They can't tell me anything because this is my baby, this, that, or whatever. Phoenicia has been with me from the beginning of my first book when it came out. When I hit her up and say, "Hey, look, we need workbooks," we jump in there and we got it done.
Yep.
My
Got it
brother
back and
Kenneth,
forth,
though,
but we did.
say Phoenicia, I didn't hear you.
It was a lot of back and forth, but we. It was a lot of back and forth, but we got it done.
Yeah, and the back and forth was work. That was work. It wasn't the argument. I'm talking. Yeah, we put the work in, but we were able to work through it smoothly without drama. Is what I'm saying. Because a lot of people say, "Oh, black people can't work together because this one want to be in charge and that one want to be in charge and this one want to think they're the boss." I'm showing y'all what happened. We went through a lot of back and forth emails, sending. Okay, Phoenicia, here go the puzzle, here go this, here go that, Miss Renee, there go the question. It is a process. But we worked together and we got it done. And the funny part about it was I had already written 3 books when I decided we were going to do workbooks. So we were working on 3 workbooks at once.
Wow.
We were. And I appreciate
Exactly,
Phoenicia for that.
exactly.
And
Thank
with
you
my
so much
brother
for that.
Kenneth over here, when his productions and all, nobody can do everything.
No man is an island.
So you have to set that pie up because nobody knows everything. You find the people who knows what to do in the areas that you can't and watch what they're doing and you guys work together and create it. It could be a beautiful thing because all this here behind me ain't nothing but beauty, y'all, and I appreciate y'all. I do. And it's just having that team. I have guys that y'all haven't met yet that has done the layouts and editing. So it takes a whole team to make this stuff work.
Shout
And
out
I
to Wayne.
appreciate each and every one, huh?
Shout out to Wayne and Osceola.
Yes. Shout out to Wayne. Shout out to Osceola. Now, see, you done mentioned Osceola name. You're gonna make me tell a secret. Guy, y'all, Osceola's coming back. But anywho, I know I done talk a lot tonight, but it was good stuff. And I appreciate
Thank you so
y'all.
much.
Miss Fanisha, you want to give your closing statement?
I don't. Well, you know what? My kids want to know when is the next book coming out. Now that means that they thoroughly enjoyed this one. They were able to do, and that's why I'm like, oh my gosh, my camera doesn't work. They had to do any the book report, and they took Google
Yes.
boxes and they put highlight. They highlighted different characters and different settings and what they liked and didn't like, and oh my, they did compare and contrast. I'm gonna have them bring them so you can actually see them. And then I had a couple of
See?
kids that did journal entries, and what they did was they wrote their journal like diary entries based on um, based on the character itself. So they would go in and write as if they were Corey or if they were Carter, or if they were Caden, and
Mm.
it was awesome. Oh yeah, you know what? We didn't even talk about how Caden saved the little boy's life after he got choked, but we'll do that maybe when we get to Atlanta.
Oh, I mean, okay, because I was going to ask you to bring that stuff
I definitely will. I definitely will.
because you sent pictures and I posted to my personal page. And I was like, no, they got to bring this stuff because when we get in the park, we got to have all of that so we can have the whole conversation and everything else. But yeah, I love it. And if you want to, Kenny, we have a few minutes.
We're right there right now.
Okay. Um, we could touch on them Caden saving the little boy life when we get here because that will give us more to bring to the audience.
Yes, yes. We'll say give them something to look forward to.
Yes,
Definitely.
yes, the children will be speaking live about their experience with the book. And I just, like I said, I just want to thank everybody again. Thank you, Miss Phoenicia, for all that you do. Thank you, TNT Realtor, for being my sponsor. Thank you, KJ Multimedia. I appreciate you guys. And like I said, y'all tell a friend. Tell a friend what's going on with Grandma Polly and the Big Great Kids, because
Exactly.
we're going to help these
Share.
kids do what they do. Say again.
World changers.
I said share. Absolutely.
I
Definitely.
appreciate it. And I love y'all. And Phoenicia, don't hang up. Peace out.
Okay.
Till
Love you
next
guys.
Thursday.
Go ahead, Kenny.
We'll see you next Thursday.
Share.
kids. Let's have fun here to try to you to such amazing places with the big rig kids. Those helpful big rig kids. See how they give and grow and get to know amazing things. Learn with the big rig kids, and you see how it is to have adventure days and hang and play with all your friends. Because the big rig kids know what it is to live. The most exciting and inviting life is positive.